Part 1: The Colonization of the Self. Theme parks are often described as escapism. We use that word casually as if we are simply stepping away from the real world for a moment. But in philosophy, to escape implies a departure from one state of being to another. If we are escaping our daily lives, what exactly are we stepping into? To understand the modern theme park, we have to look at the economic and psychological structures that build them. Specifically, we have to look at late stage capitalism and the phenomenon of identity through consumer culture. Late stage capitalism does not necessarily mean the system is ending. Rather, it refers to a specific period where the logic of the market has expanded into every corner of human life. It is no longer just about the park selling you a churro or a t shirt. In this stage, the market has finished colonizing the physical world and has started moving into our internal one. The park is selling you a state of being that is the monetization of your attention, your nostalgia, and your dreams. And this leads to the tension of identity through consumer culture. Historically, identity was a messy byproduct of your history, your labor, and your community. But in a consumerist society, we often define ourselves through having. In the park, identity is a choice you make at a kiosk. You don't just like a film, you become a fan. You wear the ears, you carry the droid, you consume the intellectual property until the brand and the you are indistinguishable. You aren't just buying an object, you are buying a shortcut to a version of yourself that feels more complete than your mundane life. Part 2: The Architecture of Displacement. The problem arises when these two concepts collide. If late stage capitalism requires everything to be a product and our identity is built upon those products, what happens to our actual consciousness? And this is where we encounter the dissociative break. To fully inhabit the magic, you must systematically ignore the real. You must ignore the heat, the logistics, the minimum wage labor sustaining the illusion, and the fact that you are in a high security enclosure. This isn't just having fun, it is a functional split in consciousness. Your primary awareness is redirected toward a branded simulation, a hyper reality, while your actual physical self is pushed into the periphery. This state is built into the very floorboards of the environment. In philosophy, we might call the theme park a non-place. Unlike a historic town square, a non-place lacks genuine history or relation. It is a vacuum. And because the space has no real roots, your consciousness doesn't have to engage with the complexities of the real world. You are essentially nowhere, which means you can be anyone. But this anyone is a curated persona, reinforced by what we call the commodity of the smile. In the outside world, human interaction is unpredictable, but within the gates, emotional labor is a strictly enforced byproduct. When every interaction is scripted to be magical, it creates a surreal psychological feedback loop. You are surrounded by a sea of performative joy, which pressures your own consciousness to suppress any authentic feelings of fatigue or cynicism. But it happens anyways, right? To feel anything other than magic is to break the contract you signed at the turnstile or online. Part 3: The Externalized Ghost. Consider the layout of these spaces. They are designed to induce a specific psychological flow, but it is a flow that leads towards extraction. If you stop to reflect, the simulation breaks. Therefore, the park must provide a constant, high-definition stream of sensory input to keep the conscious mind occupied. You aren't thinking about the past or the future. You are trapped in a branded now. And this leads to the ultimate extraction moment, the externalization of memory. We have reached a point where we don't just inhabit an experience, we export it. When we view our day through the lens of a phone, or when we prioritize the souvenir over the sensation, we're finalizing the disassociative break. We are treating our own lives as a piece of content to be consumed later. The self becomes a brand manager, documenting the avatar as it moves through the simulation. The you that is actually there becomes a ghost, haunting the you that is appearing in the photos. So, what is the cost of this whimsical disassociation? Well, it isn't that theme parks are evil or that enjoying them is a moral failing. Philosophy isn't interested in spoil sport critiques. Rather, the point is to recognize the mechanism. When we understand that these spaces are designed to fracture our consciousness, to replace our messy, authentic identity with a polished, consumerist one, we gain the ability to look for the seams. The goal is to find a way to stand in the hyperreal without becoming a simulation ourselves, to walk through the dream, but to stay awake. Because the most profound moment in any theme park isn't the grand finale or the fireworks. It's the quiet, jarring moment in the parking lot afterward when you realize that the person who just spent 12 hours in a fantasy was you all along.